The thoughts, views, and opinions expressed on the Canna Connect Show belong solely to the individuals and do not reflect those of Canna Connect and its affiliates, sponsors, or partners. Canna Connect does not promote or facilitate any activity that violates state or federal regulations. Everything you hear here is strictly for educational and entertainment purposes. It is not legal advice, it is not financial guidance, and it's definitely not medical direction. Seriously, don't take our word for it. Even if someone on the mic sounds like they know what they're talking about, and they're probably crazy smart too. Regardless of how legit our guests may be, you should always do your own homework, consult with your attorney, and understand the risk you're taking before you do anything when it comes to cannabis. Our intention is to keep it real. If you've got a problem with anything we've said, take us to court.
Welcome back to the Canna Connect Show. I'm your host, Stephen Eigenmann, and today we are sitting down with Brad Obermueller from CEE. You want to try this?
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers, bud.
The Green Standard is now available across Minnesota through GRD distribution. If you aren't seeing it at your liquor store, hemp shop, or dispensary, ask the staff and they can potentially bring it in. How much is changing now with spring and into summer? I mean, you guys are going to be at NECAN, you're going to be at CannaCon.
Mm-hmm.
How are the conversations? How are things progressing generally? I mean, is it still kind of that same pace?
It's exciting. And thanks for having us again on the show, because it's important for us to every so often join you and talk about, the progress of what we're seeing in the market, and when we first started to now, we're seeing projects, at least there was interest, right? But now we've had 32 projects get built. Okay? We've had 6 of them close out, and we have 12 that are currently signed up in the process of getting completed.
And that means that they're in Xcel Energy territory.
Correct.
They're a micro business, and they may be licensed or they may be pre-approved, and they may be getting licensed depending on where they're at with their overall build-out.
Yes. I would say the ones that are signed up have the license, have the approvals, have the builder's call line, they have the power, everything is in motion. Now that's with the 12 that are signed up.
Yep.
In order to get signed up, there's some steps that people need to be conscientious of in order to get to the finish line. But in those 32, as far as what Tony and I need,
Mm-hmm.
and CEE and Xcel, they're getting the ball rolling. They are pre-approved. And then, it's up to us to kind of help them along. Everybody's different. Every business is different.
Hey everybody, Stephen with Canna Connect, taking a quick minute to shout out today's sponsor, CEE. That is the Center for Energy and Environment. If you're not familiar with CEE, they're your one-stop shop for all lighting rebates. If you are in Xcel Energy territory and you're a micro business, CEE is somebody that you need to talk to. Give Brad a call, give Tony a call, go online, one-stop shop, LED lighting rebates. They'll help take care of up to 60% of the costs associated with your grow and your build-out with the lighting. Really nice people, great people to work with, huge sponsors of Canna Connect, and give them a shout. That's CEE, Center for Energy and Environment. You mentioned builder's call line.
Yeah.
Where does that come into play when somebody's first reaching out to CEE or they found their location?
Whether it's us directly or Xcel directly,
Mm-hmm.
the builder's call line is very important. And to do that early on, what that does is their engineer team will take the project scope that you want to do, any grower, right? And let's say that micro license is 5,000 square feet canopy. All right. What we're seeing is they might be doing 400 fixtures or they might be doing 15 fixtures. The phasing is what we're seeing now with a lot of these growers. They're starting small, getting the capital, and then going bigger. The builder's call line can see, hey, there's a 10-month lead for a new transformer. But in order to complete this first phase, yes, it has the right power. But if they need an additional transformer, if that area does, that builder's call line is going to say, you have enough power in this building, and the buildings surrounding won't be punished or penalized for the power draw. So yes, now we can move forward with the utilities to grant these rebates. What's happening is the builder's call line could say, hey, with all this power draw, sorry, we cannot do this grow. And you don't want to find that out at the end, because now that entire property will be shut down, right? So the earlier people can just inquire, and that's just sending an email to us. We can introduce them to the builder's call line, but it's very important because of the timeline, because of how the money flows in this market, that you kind of have to have your ducks in a row. And we're finding that, it just takes due diligence on our part to follow up, make sure, okay, this location does. We're finding that a lot of cultivators are kind of pocketing in the same areas.
Okay.
So the draw is going to be higher. So we need to be prepared for that power draw.
Wow.
And if people are phasing, the one thing I would suggest or ask is, plan the full scope of canopy right away, even if you're not going to do that. So what I mean is, let's say, like, if you know you're going to get up to that 4,000, 5,000 canopy at some point, let's propose that to the builder's call line, but we can rebate a smaller amount of fixtures to make it profitable for the customer.
Simple math would be like, I'm going to start with 1,500 square feet of canopy, then I'm going to go to 3,000 square foot of canopy, and then I'm going to go up to 5,000.
Exactly.
That's how some micro businesses
That's
are.
how a lot of them are doing it now. That's what we're seeing anyways.
And if they're in Xcel Energy territory and they're working with CE, you can get them a rebate for the first stage, and then they could come back when they're ready to get to 3,000 square feet. They can still work with CE. It's not just a one-time opportunity. And then 4,500 or 5,000 square feet, you guys are available all throughout that process as long as they're a micro business in Xcel Energy territory.
Correct. And what we're finding is groups like What Rebates, these third-party facilitators, they're calling us and they're managing, front-loading our rebate to help these customers. Our rebate is higher as far as funds go to really help these customers move forward, and we're seeing those PPE, those extra 10-15 cents a watt are playing huge dividends in these customers getting these final approvals to go forward. The What Rebates to say, hey, this rebate can get turned around quickly with CE. We're dotting all of our I's, crossing the T's on every project.
Yeah.
And then they can do, the lighting, HVAC, dehumidification, kind of take the entire envelope.
Yeah.
And support the customer in that way. And they know how to use the utilities because of their experience in other cannabis communities across the United States. And it's the teamwork that in the team and the partners that we've created, through you guys, through all these shows that we have, it's kind of coming to fruition. As far as we get a call or a question, we have everyone to talk to, to find a location, to find lights, to support with maybe like a What Rebates or green rebates or any of those third party. So there are avenues for everybody. And now we're starting to see that, it could be a simple question as far as, what do? I have no clue, or they can have the whole plan and what's next. So we're positioned in a way to see like this market actually being real now.
Yeah.
It's not a pipe dream. It's it's a reality, and the funds that we're providing, $75,000 in rebates just in 6 projects that have closed.
Right.
So that's showing you that the phases are going down, because if you max out, you can get up to 500,000 in a rebate, right? So,
so I'm hearing like you guys are part of the ecosystem. When you guys are part of the circle,
100%.
You're in the circle, you look across, the person that you're going to reach out to, or the person next to you, you can pass or ask, depending on the situation. You can pass the question over, you can ask the question and get back to the potential. Do you call them projects, accounts, customers, like when you're like the group in Frostleaf
Yeah.
in Watertown, like using them as an example, and let's talk more about them.
Yeah.
Are they a customer of CEE or a partner? What vernacular do you use?
So yeah, Frostleaf is the customer to us. All right. And Thrive Agritech is our partner. And Thrive is taking on the technological advancements in cultivation. And what they are known for and what makes them so unique in the market is the remote power systems that they offer, because what we're seeing is the NEC has a 401 clause, and that is for all CGFIs to basically have a trip on every outlet. So every fixture that has a cord needs to have a fail-safe, okay? Something for the ground fault, for the power to not overload, not overwhelm. Well, what they can do, Thrive with Frostleaf, is put in this new technology that's going to draw the demand way down. And so the energy savings are state-of-the-art on Frostleaf. So for Frostleaf and us, and being so new to the Minnesota market and seeing these micros thrive and really create this micro cultivation and kind bud, right? It's not this bulk product that you're seeing all across the United States. These cultivators can actually make a living on this product. Well, in order to do that and grow this fantastic product, you have to have systems available, right? It's not the high pressure sodium systems that we were seeing in the past. These guys like Jay at Thrive Agritech got together with Frostleaf and said, let's do something state-of-the-art that's not around anywhere else. So when we saw that, I went to CE and said, hey, let's see if Frostleaf would be interested in a testimonial where we can do a case study with them and talk about, the new technology, how they're incorporating all these laws that are prohibiting these cultivations from getting approved by the state or the inspections or the power supplies that they need. So when we get that case study out there and share it with teams like you or the College of Cannabis, right? People like that going to NECAN, sharing these stories of, hey, there is a way to expedite these cultivations, doing it the right way. It might seem expensive up front, but you don't have to go as big as Frostleaf, right? We can do it smaller and do it the right way. And that's what we're seeing. We're seeing the influence from guys like Frostleaf that are trying to be innovators in the cultivation in Minnesota. And it's really cool. And the more, this group, this community can learn from the Frostleafs, because they are very awesome guys. They want to teach the rest of the groups, how to do this, how they can do it.
Yeah.
And we're just sitting here absorbing it as well, learning every day, man.
Yeah. Jay Marshall's a fun guy to learn from.
Yeah. Yep.
And Thrive, they've got tons of experience on the food side of things.
Yes.
Growing tomatoes and lettuce and
horticulture lighting.
But what you're really digging into is craft cultivation, the ability.
That's what a micro is.
Yeah,
to me.
Exactly. So it's great to hear that CE and everyone involved in this project, for example, is realizing what the intention of the OCM and the state was when developing that micro business license. Where are you seeing those pockets of growers in Minnesota? Where are they more densely populated? And it could be outside of Xcel Energy territory, but you're starting to see some patterns.
Yeah, I would say the patterns we're seeing are outside the 494, 694 loop. Okay, and if you look at Xcel territory, that's kind of how you can take a visual map and say, all right, anywhere around 494, 694 in the cities is Xcel territory. However, you get 30 miles on the outside of that.
Right.
So what we're seeing is on the outside of that, it's being accepted more freely, and that could be because there's a little bit more rural area. So we're seeing more Excel action and movement. However, it's still, out in the sticks a little bit more, maybe out in an industrial warehouse, because certain cultivators are in different spots. Some put their entire life savings into a micro, and they need their first crop to come through, and they signed a lot of like, hey, you're taking my first 2 grows because I need the help up front right now, and with that money that I'll get, we can put in the carbon filtration system in our HVAC, because right now it's super pungent out in the country, and I need this to get to there to do this. And now you see the success from this particular cultivator, and he's like, I'm looking at another place in Minneapolis. It's a great location, and now I can, maybe look at cultivating something for the Minneapolis market. The key is, Stephen, everybody we talk to is super passionate about their own product, but it's also they are cultivating for their community. We went to a guy up in just by St. Cloud, and his main thing was, we are only going to put our product in St. Louis Park and the surrounding towns around here, and everybody is really proud of it, because then they can come get my product from this area. And if they want my buddy's product, they will go to this area. That's what the brewery scene was like.
Yeah.
You want a Surly Furious, you go to Surly. You back in the day. Now Surly's everywhere, right? So the thing is these guys are actually thinking the same way as, maybe I am from the utility standpoint. Like, I hope it goes that way. You see some of these cultivators, they're very protective of, are you going to give my information out? Or are we going to lose this independence that we have, or this influence that we have? We don't want you to come in and destroy our image. And it's like, I can see how you could feel that way, especially when you were cultivating in Colorado or California. But right now, we are your biggest supporters. Canna Connect is your biggest supporter to keep that individualism. You only having 18 lights in your building, and that's all you want to grow your kind bud and what you want to provide. Like, hey, we are on this journey with you.
Yeah.
And that guy shifted in that post-inspection. Then he became much more open to, hey, here's the stores, here's the name that it's going to be, here's what we're doing. Do you think you can tell people about us? And it's like, that's what it's about.
Wow. Trust.
So it's cool. It feels like, we're impacting, we're helping, and we're not asking people for stuff. There are sales jobs out there where you have to, get people to trust you and sell a certain product.
Yeah.
And that's important. But we want people to realize, like, we're doing this, we have funds to give, and we want them to look at us as an ally, as a resource to help. And it's starting to happen.
Well, and the last time we sat down, Tony was on the show, and we talked about.
That was a great show.
Yeah, thank you. You were live. You were live at Open Window, and we're recording this in May. Tony's episode will come out this month, and then your interview will come out in June.
Sure.
But one of the things that really stood out to me was, you're not measuring this necessarily in the dollar return for the customer. I mean, sure, they're looking at it, hey, I can get over $75,000 in LED lighting rebates through CEE. But your CEE is looking at it like taking kilowatt hours off the grid.
Yes.
Taking energy off the grid. And it stands out to me, the mini data center analogy, mini being MINI, but also like six projects closed, 12 projects tentatively coming online, and potentially 20 more after that. There are mini data centers popping up, and they're potentially popping up in similar areas. That's a lot of power in a local, within a county, for example.
Yes.
And, you talked about the
Builder's Call Line.
The Builder's Call Line, and that's not a cannabis necessarily a specific resource. That is a call line for power at large. Is that
Power consumption.
Is that county, regional, or is there one Builder's Call Line that folks can
There's
call?
one Builder's Call Line for Excel territory.
Okay.
But that's for anything in Excel, right? So, yeah, I mean, think about this: in 32 projects that we have quoted, that's 51 homes of energy use that we've saved just by going to LED, by doing the energy efficient things that we ask for these grow projects. And these customers are, and that's reoccurring every year, that just in that small window of projects, the savings is massive. You know, that's 6,000 vehicles that the equivalent of 6,000 vehicles commuting every year. Mm-hmm. That's what we've taken off by providing higher PPEs, by using the Builder's Call Line and finding locations where the power is ample for a data center to come in. Because right now, cultivators are also, we don't talk about this much, but they're competing with AI.
Sure.
Like you said, the data centers.
Mm-hmm.
So the more transparent the cultivators can be
with their vision,
exactly. The more transparent, the more we educate people that they're competing and fighting, not just for like that building and what they need for power supply. It's everybody around them too. And I think, when we look at, where they can find a property, maybe that's part of it. A lot of people see the support in Minneapolis, St. Paul, but to find a building that can withstand all of those elements, that's why we're probably seeing less in St. Paul and Minneapolis, because we're still trying to figure out, what places can handle that load. And I think, this year and next year, we're going to see a lot more closer to us.
Okay.
But right now, it's just kind of one of those things. Now the ball's rolling, mm-hmm. and other people are seeing success, and I don't know.
Well, we want everyone who's watching this to trust that CEE is a quality partner that they can work with, and that they're a brand that is in support of what you're doing as a cultivator, and not asking for your information to then go and sell it or provide it to who knows where. Like there's, especially with the, and I know this is outside of CEE, this is an Xcel Energy home rebate. But when folks first started finding out about the home grow lighting cultivation rebate, they were weary of giving their plant count or their mm-hmm. photos of their home grow to anybody. We've got this nice sea vault here. This fits a half pound of cannabis flower, and I gave one recently to David Luce, who is a champion of the home grow lighting rebate, and it's a big proponent of the Minnesota cannabis industry, and he's helped some of the folks that are a little weary to say, hey, this is okay. You can trust. Excel's not really doing anything with this. In fact, it's a guess and check method. They're not necessarily coming to your home and taking photos of your grow. It's did you buy the light? Are the lights up? Tell us more about the lighting opportunity. And it, I've heard from folks that they got even more, like that Excel rounded up when it came to their lighting rebates. So, yeah, I mean, CE is here for the micro business in Excel Energy territory, but Excel can also provide at-home home grow rebates, and I think that's awesome for the state of Minnesota.
Right. If we can have people make better, efficient decisions up front, and that starts at home, right? These people are getting the confidence at home to start a business.
Yeah.
In cultivating. Yeah. And I think that's smart to show, hey, let's not go old school and do a high pressure sodium in your basement. Let's make it capable and get you a rebate. And, we had a colleague that works at CE and doing this as well, a home grow, and he didn't know. He's in a different field, and, just telling him, hey, there's home grow rebates for you, bud. And he just about fell over when we told him that. Because it's like we work in,
that's a made for TV.
Exactly. So now he feels like he's got something to work off now a little bit more, and he was actually pretty excited because he put a lot of money into the lighting system that he had, and he didn't know until we dove into it. It's kind of funny.
I popped a couple seeds over the weekend, and they've started to sprout, and my hope is I can take them outside and do some outdoor cannabis plants this summer, which is great. No kilowatt hours needed.
Right.
That thing is just
straight sun.
booming. One thing I wanted to talk about, we can get back on track, but a little bit, I'm curious, you live on the other side of the border in Wisconsin. Do you hear much about cannabis projects or cannabis legalization, like in your community? Are people talking about it? Because your neighbors just over the river are putting up cultivation sites,
Yeah. I can tell you right now, Wisconsin's quite a ways away. Talking to quite a few business owners in Minnesota, just kind of getting a feel, just having conversations because of what we do in Minnesota, is the Tavern League in Wisconsin does not want that yet. Even though that Wisconsin is adding some THC seltzers onto their taps or as a secondary option.
Yeah.
The bars that can handle the insurance for it, they're paying a little bit more, but they see that, trends are changing. College towns, kids aren't going out to the bars like they used to.
And there's so many college towns in Wisconsin.
So many.
Right.
So many. So these are the guys, the liquor stores that I'm talking to, the owners from Stout, where I went to school. Talked to a guy that owns a liquor store there. I guess the Tavern League meetings are getting pretty heated all the time. And, Wisconsin, it's strange because you see all the work they do with the hemp that comes from there.
Right.
So they're providing a lot of the Delta-9 hemp that goes into Minnesota, into Maryland,
right?
All these other locations.
Yep.
So it's really bizarre how they play a part in it, but they want nothing to do with it.
Okay.
So it's a good question. I mean, I bring it up just to see if someday I'll have a different answer.
Yeah, no, I appreciate the pulse. I think folks do have to remember that the Tavern League has quite a bit of sway in Wisconsin.
Big influence.
And I mean, the Tavern League is just another word for beer or an alcohol or, supper clubs and what you order from the supper clubs, like an old fashioned or something like that.
That's correct.
So, kudos to the progressiveness of Minnesota for, pushing legalization through. But the other thing I want to talk about is CEE can do more than cultivation sites. They're able to provide LED lighting rebates for stores.
Yes.
And there's a lot of stores opening up, hundreds.
Yes.
By the time this episode comes out. So does that come across your desk as well when it comes to the more traditional retail?
Great question. And to be honest with you, we should probably be doing a better job with that segment, because that's truly where our program started from, like commercial lighting. And what we're seeing too is some of these cultivators will have a dispensary connected to their grow house in the back, or a cannabis lounge is next to that dispensary, next to the. So yes, every commercial building in Excel territory could get a rebate, whether that's HVAC, lighting, anything. And what we can do is go in and get whatever it looked like beforehand, take the lighting count and say, all right, make this your own. If you're going to have lighting that changes a mood, well, that's fine. Let's retrofit and get you the savings, lower your utility bill because it's already going to be high, right? From your cultivation. So if we can take a commercial business, and change out some of their lighting, maybe help them with their case lighting, even if it's not a huge project, the dollars and cents add up.
Right.
And with a commercial lighting job, we can go up to 75% of the project cost for a rebate. And the thing that Minnesotans need to understand also that they may not know is there's a fluorescent ban. Okay, and the fluorescent ban has been in place now for 2 years, and it actually took over this year. So you cannot buy online or in a store a fluorescent tube or light.
Wow.
No more incandescent screw-ins. So everything is LED. So while rebates are as high as they are,
Mm-hmm.
and the cost of LED is as low as it is, right now is the best time to convert to LED in a commercial business. Now, the reason I say that is because next year, let's just say the utilities see LED being the baseline now because you can't buy fluorescent. So why would we say you're replacing old technology? Now it's new technology. Well, that would mean hypothetically that the rebates would basically go down because now LED is our baseline. If that's the case, now customers aren't going to get as much money as they could now.
Now's the time.
Now is the time. I don't like putting the pressure. I mean, we're consultants. We work for a nonprofit. But I do want to tell people, if you're even thinking about it, now is the time because we have the most money we can possibly give to do these projects.
Great.
So, yeah, good question.
Yeah, I'm thinking about just how we continue to tell the CEE story throughout 2026. And we're going to be sitting down together. Actually, we'll be positioned right next to each other at CannaCon.
That's beautiful.
So I'd love to have you and Tony come back or just slide over from your booth June 26th and 27th. And, you know, we're just continuing to kind of have mile markers along the way as more folks get turned on to CEE and are able to open up their cultivations.
I like it.
Awesome, Brad. Thanks for coming on the show. We'll make sure to include your email and where they can find more information about CEE. And if you are still new to CEE, check it out online. These guys are legit. They're here to serve you in the Xcel Energy and Minneapolis, St. Paul area. So thanks for CEE being a great partner on the show. And Brad, it was great to see you.
Thank you, bud. Good to see you.
See you next time on the Canna Connect Show.